Mistakes, as so often happens here at Northlands Park in Edmonton. The bigger races, the stakes races that have the big purses, you will see some additional riders and additional trainers and additional horses come in, particularly from Hastings Park in Vancouver, and that is again the case today for the Sonoma Stakes, Don.
It is. The horses have shipped here and the riders with them. That's a move that trainers will sometimes prefer to use a rider who rides the local circuit, thinking it gives them an advantage. The rider will know the track, but they will also in other cases prefer to use a rider that they've had success with on the horse in their own home track. In this case, we are having a couple riders coming, 3 riders actually coming from BC.
And that includes the leading rider at Hastings Park in Vancouver, certainly one of the top tracks in Canada. Ben Russell, certainly coming off an outstanding year, as Jonathan mentioned, a sovereign nominee for 1999. Ben Russell is here to be on board. A chance is a lady in our feature, the Sonoma Stakes. And Jonathan, you have more on that.
I do indeed, Roger. Standing with Ben, and you'll notice the San Francisco Giant hat. Actually, Ben is from San Francisco. Started his career actually in California in 1998. And Ben, let's talk about chances, a lady. How do you see your chances this afternoon with this one?
She's always got a really strong closing kick, about a quarter of a mile. And I think if I can get around Mighty Dixie, then I got a really good shot. I like riding her. I ride her in Hastings Park, and she always runs good for me. So they asked me to come out here to ride her today, and I said, sure, I will.
Now, you mentioned Mighty Dixie, a horse that's beaten you a couple of times. Why is Mighty Dixie so good? For fans that haven't seen her, why is she so good?
She's just strong. That's her distance. 1 mile and 6 inches, she's strong. She keeps going.
One last question, Ben. You had a phenomenal year last year, obviously winning a Sovereign Award as a Bug Boy or Apprentice of the Year. Going well again in Hastings Park for you. Talk about the upcoming BC Derby. What do you have for chances there?
I'm working. I got 2 horses I got to take a pick between, and I'm not really sure yet. I got a friend that's trying to buy one for me to ride, and I have one that I can ride right now, but I don't know, really.
And, of course, we might see Ben Russell here for the Canadian Derby, which leads into the BC Derby later on this summer. Back to you guys.
Please, as they get ready to go, and this is a big race, one of the biggest ones as far as Northlands Park is concerned in Edmonton. These 3-year-old fillies are always popular and always interesting because almost anyone can win, and that's the case with the field of 8 this afternoon. Mighty Dixie is at 9-5. The Invader from British Columbia getting lots of attention from the betting public so far at 9-5. Also at 5-2, You, Me, and Mikey. You, Me, and Mikey winning right here on CTV Sportsnet, taking the Oaks for $30,000 by 3 lengths. That happened on July 22nd. Also in the running, as the betting public is concerned, at 5-1 is Crimson Hue with Alex Ferris aboard. Crimson Hue coming off a win and a $25,000 claimer. There's the rest of the field, including the long shot. Don't be discounting Sugar Ray with Felipe Valdez aboard out of Hastings Park in Vancouver as well. Time now to get up close and personal to the field for the Sonoma Stakes this afternoon, and let's lead it away as post-parade time is underway. And the one getting lots of attention, and that is Mighty Dixie.
The key today with these 3-year-old fillies is the distance, 1 mile and a 16th. The only horse with a win at the distance is right there, number 1, Mighty Dixie. You might call her the Mighty Mite. She's not exceptionally large for a thoroughbred, but she runs large, and that's really all that matters. She has 3 wins and 7 lifetime starts, coming off of 2 wins in a row now. Again, the big concern going this distance after not running since June the 30th, that's 6 weeks off, that could play a large part in Mighty Dixie. Number 2, Tuppence with Royale Smart. She will be a long shot this afternoon, but Tuppence should be able to sit along the fence, and if the speed comes back, which is extremely possible, Tuppence with a very lightly raced career, only 5 starts, she could improve wildly this afternoon and reward some long shot supporters at 17-1. Number 3 will be Sugar Ray and Felipe Valdez. Sugar Ray ran here July 22nd in the Oaks, ended up second, just 3 lengths back of You, Me, and Mikey. Shipped back to Hastings Park, had to work there, 1/2 mile and 48. Sugar Ray now returning, obviously likes the province, coming with her trainer Kelly Rycroft. Number 4, Northern Nietzsche 2 and Quincy Welch. Northern Nietzsche 2 showing good speed on the front last out. Did falter though. She had a clear lead for trainer Floyd Arthur, and she did end up finishing 3rd, beaten 3 lengths in the Oaks. Northern Nietzsche 2 is going to be starting right beside another speedster who also happens to come from the same Floyd Arthur barn. That's number 5, Regal Air, Jake Barton aboard. Regal Air making a slight equipment change today, adding a tongue tie. She was the favorite in the Oaks. The question was, could she go a distance of ground, Regal Air? That question still remains to be answered because she got a poor start in the Oaks, ended up finishing 29 lengths back. I don't think that reflects her ability at all. Number 6, Chance is a lady, and Ben Russell. Chance is a lady comes into here with some interesting ability. She shortened up to sprinting distance in her last start, was moving well towards the end of the race, finishing just some 2 lengths back. To me, she looks like a horse that will like this track, and sent here by trainer Lance Giesbrecht. He's a master of his trade. Number 7, Crimson Hue and Alex Ferris. Easy 8-length winner, but she did get away to the front in her last start. Battled the first quarter and then just cruised on. Actually ran a fairly strong race. Was able to rate and slow down the middle fractions of the race, but since adding Lasix 3 starts ago, Crimson Hue has run a much better style of race. We'll wind things up with number 8, Yumi and Mikey and Leanne Noel. Leanne has done a good job. Her first stakes win coming on Yumi and Mikey in the Northlands Oaks. A winner by 3 lengths. She rated this horse perfectly on that day, came up late, and took home all the money.
The Sonoma Stakes will go 1 mile and a 16th this afternoon for that $50,000 guaranteed and the field of 8, so it is a distance race. We'll be able to see some early speed and those that like to come off the pace in that field of 8. And there's a quick look at the updated odds. At 2-1 is Yumi and Mikey. The favorite, though, the BC Invader, is Mighty Dixie at 7-5. Tuppence with Real Samard aboard is at 21-1, your long shot. We're 7 minutes to post time. We'll have much more on the Sonoma Stakes coming your way when we return to Northlands Park in Edmonton, right here on CTV Sportsnet. Also, a reminder, if you're a track and field enthusiast, don't forget, August 12th coming up is the Canada. 4 minutes to race time and the Sonoma Stakes here in Edmonton. No time for sleeping, time to wake up out there, because the Sonoma Stakes, our feature race on CTV Sportsnet, is coming your way. $50,000 up for grabs, and the favorite at this point is Mighty Dixie. Mighty Dixie coming in from Vancouver, and Jonathan Huntington has more on that horse getting ready for the Sonoma.
Thanks a lot, Roger. Earlier this week, there was all kinds of talk coming out of Vancouver about Mighty Dixie and how well she was working at the track. She hasn't been on a racetrack in a competitive race since June. That does cause some concerns for Chris Loseth, and actually we had a chance to sit down and talk with the jockey, Chris Loseth, about Mighty Dixie just a little bit earlier on.
Well, I think she's going to run really well. I got lucky and drew the 1 hole, and should be able to save some ground with her. And she's a very hard-trying little filly. She's not very big, but she's got a wonderful stride on her, and I think she's going to run a very good race.
And now she's been working very, very well in the mornings. Talk to us about those works, and are you concerned at all that she hasn't raced since June?
Well, the time off concerns me a little bit. She's been 6 weeks since she's run, but she worked 59 and change at home in Vancouver, and it was a superior work that day, and she's really done everything we've asked of her. We just were unfortunate that we haven't been able to get a race into her. But I think that we have her as ready as we can get her.
And that is jockey Chris Loseth, and he certainly knows what he's talking about. He's been on Mighty Dixie before, and Chris has been in some of the biggest races on the West Coast for years and years. A very good rider. Now, when I look at the field, Roger and Don, the only thing that really concerns me about my charity pick right now is there going to be a speed battle up front? I look at Northern Nietzsche too, hoping that she will get away and she'll get a nice easy trip. But do you think Regal Air poses a big problem here for Northern Nietzsche too?
I think of those two. I don't think Northern Nietzsche 2 has a chance of going with Regal Air early. Actually, Regal Air, a real pure sprinting type, and if she has her mind intent on leaving, I think Northern Nietzsche 2 is left in the dust.
All right, well, that could certainly be, and we're 2 minutes to post time now. One thought for both of you, is there a big difference between this track and the track at Hastings Park, other than size?
Well, I think there's certainly a big difference in the track. You see actually a lot of trainers here in Alberta kind of get a little bit worried about going to Hastings Park simply because the race surface is different. It's a different concoction, if you will, of materials that go into the racetrack. So there certainly is a difference. But I think the biggest thing, and I'm sure Don will agree, is the trip to BC. Doesn't matter which way you're going, be it going to Alberta or going to BC. That trip can be tough.
How about that, Don? Any significant difference as far as that horse, Mighty Dixie, coming in here as the favorite?
Actually, I found in the many years I've been coming to the track, horses ship from Vancouver here extremely well, whether it's a change in the altitude much higher up or change in the track surface, the surface a lot kinder, a lot softer. Horses shipping this way from Vancouver do well. Horses shipping from here to BC usually don't fare quite as well.
You know, that's an interesting scenario, but certainly a favorable one if you're Mighty Dixie. who is hoping for a big effort, because my sources tell me they may just stick around right here in mighty Edmonton for a couple of weeks for a shot at the Canadian Derby. Again, it's a long shot if you're a filly, but it can be done, and we proved it 1 year ago with Native Brass winning the Canadian Derby and the Sonoma, and was a sovereign nominee as Filly of the Year across the entire nation in racing here in Canada. Let's take a look at your updated odds. 7-5 is the favorite. That is Mighty Dixie in from British Columbia. In a second spot as far as the favoritism is concerned is You, Me, and Mikey, coming off 2 consecutive wins with Leanne Noel. As the girls stick together, trainer Robin Martins. It is a all-female entry, the 8th. You, Me, and Mikey. There's a look at the 3 Sugar Ray off at 9-1. Also, one of the favorites you have to keep an eye out is the 6 is Chance is a Lady, and Crimson Hue also at 6-1. So it's nicely spread out as they start to load here for the $50,000 Sonoma Stakes. There is the 2 at 30-1. That is your long shot. If you got a couple bucks, who knows? Tuppence could come up for you big with Real Samard aboard. Any last thoughts?
Well, we've all afternoon seen horses coming from well off the pace, but I don't think that's the way the track is playing. I think that's the way that the races have gone. The jockeys are intent on getting to the front. We've seen exceptionally fast early pace being set, except, of course, in our long 1 mile and 3/8 race. I think that Regal Air will head out to a brisk start. I think Northern Nietzsche, too, will track that one. And You, Me, and Mikey will probably be a ways back. I'm looking for Mighty Dixie to sit close enough and ride the rail and try to do her best running down the stretch.
And there's Chances a Lady going into the starting gate. We're all set for the $50,000 Sonoma Stakes. Let's go upstairs for the call of the race and track announcer Mike Dimoff.
Thanks, Roger. You know, speaking of Chances a Lady, this horse started her career at the fairgrounds down in New Orleans, and she finished second in a couple of high-priced maiden claiming races. That deserves a little bit of respect to me. I know how hard it is for horses to ship in over the winter at the fairgrounds and do well, and she almost got that maiden broken not once but almost twice. As we see Crimson Hue go in, people didn't really mention Crimson Hue in your broadcast, and I give her a bit of a shot. I'll need some Monopoly money, though. Here's You, Me, and Mikey. They're all set in the Sonoma Stakes, standing in line, waiting for the break. Everyone behaving. You, Me, and Mikey, a little fractious to the outside gate, waiting for starter Windy Turton to give the go-ahead. And we there it is. They're off in the Sonoma Stakes. And wasting little time is Northern Nietzsche 2 out to the lead. But here comes her barn mate Regal Air to match strides at the end of the backstretch. Crimson Hue positions herself just in behind them from 3rd. Then it's Mighty Dixie at the rail. Chances a Lady. You, Me, and Mikey up on the outside. Then towards the rail is Tuppence next to last, and the trailer Sugar Ray. Off this first turn, 23 and 4. They're out here setting a pretty reasonable pace. It's Northern Nietzsche 2. She has a hold of the bit, as does Regal Air. They're within a half length of one another. Crimson Hue races from off the rail, 3rd by a length. Mighty Dixie now coming a little closer in 4th. Then it's Chances a Lady after a break of 2. You, Me, and Mikey. On the inside is Tuppence and Sugar Ray. Now 9 lengths would cover this field with less than a half a mile to negotiate. The first half, 47 and 3. Northern Nietzsche 2, a half length. Here comes Crimson Hue now. She's taken up, clear of any trouble. Regal Air's caught splitting those 2 with 3 furlongs to run. Sugar Ray has quickly moved up and taken over 4th. She went from last to 4th. And then it's Mighty Dixie. She'll need some racing luck as they move to the far turn. You, Me, and Mikey in the hunt. So is Chances a Lady. Those 2 runners also needing some room. 6 and 1, 13 and 4. Here comes Crimson Hue to take the lead. She goes clear a length, and she looks like she's ready for the stretch. It's Crimson Hue kicking away 2, and Crimson Hue now opens 3. Northern Nietzsche 2, and Regal Air can't go with them. Nobody can go with her. Look at Crimson Hue, and Alex Ferris certainly has the touch with the girls. Here is Crimson Hue, and might we see this one 2 weeks from today? Roger,
Ferris
Crimson
knows how to
Hue.
win the Sonoma Stakes. Mike Dimoff, Alex Ferris won last year with Native Brass. And in 1 year's time, things haven't changed as far as the rider's concerned. You have a right to be happy. Making it 2 in a row, Alex. Crimson Hue winning the $50,000 Sonoma Stakes. Dr. Brenda Abbey, the owner of Crimson Hue. Betty Hansen, the trainer, coming away with a beautiful victory, well ridden by Alex Ferris, using his experience extremely well. 4th victory of 2000. There's Alex Ferris turning down, ready to go down the stretch.
She got the best trip of all of these fillies. Number 1, Mighty Dixie, stuck behind a wall. Really surprised me. Must have been instructions from Floyd Arthur. Jake Barton not riding Regal Air hard to the first turn, content to sit outside of her stablemate Northern Nietzsche 2. They set a pedestrian pace. Number 1, Mighty Dixie, was stuck in behind those two. And Alex Ferris, like you said, Roger, just put his filly in perfect position, and she goes on. By the time Mighty Dixie gets clear, it's way too late.
There is a photo now for the place position, but Alex Ferris was clearly the winner. As far as the 7-horse Crimson Hue is concerned, the winner of the Sonoma Stakes this afternoon here at Northlands Park will take home first prize cash in excess of about $31,500 for the 7-horse Crimson Hue, running away just like he did on the last occasion, like she did on the last occasion. The 3-year-old filly Crimson Hue looking ahead with Alex Ferris aboard, winning the Sonoma Stakes. We'll come back with much more on the Sonoma on CTV Sportsnet. A reminder as well, we'll have plenty in 1 week's time. The
Game day, every day. Checked refers to a jockey slowing down a horse due to other horses impeding its progress.
You might say a couple of horses were checked in this Sonoma Stakes today because, as you see right here, the 7, Crimson Hue. Wasn't Jonathan saying the 7 post position has been a favorite one here this year at Northlands Park?
He was, yeah.
He was absolutely right in this case as Alex Ferris guides Crimson Hue ahead of Mighty Dixie and Yumi and Mikey finishing 3rd. It is 7-1-8, the official this afternoon, 7-1-8, but Crimson Hue makes it 2 in a row. Mike Dimoff was very prophetic, the track announcer at Northlands Park, as they were loading into the gate, suggesting that perhaps we might have been paying attention to Crimson Hue. He's absolutely right. So a happy victory as far as those connected with Crimson Hue are concerned. Let's go now to trackside for the winners and Jonathan Huntington. John?
Thanks a lot, Roger. Standing here with winning rider Alex Ferris. At this time last year, he had the top 3-year-old filly. He does now with Crimson Hue. And Alex, let's talk about the trip. Reedy, was that the key to the race? I assume it was.
Absolutely. Regal Air and the other horse, I'm not sure we're on the lead. And we laid 3rd by ourselves, which is so important for her. She's a free-running horse. It's important for her. If I was with other horses side by side, it would have wore her out earlier. So she got a beautiful trip, and when I asked her to run, she kicked in, and she was there.
No kidding, she was definitely there. Coming down the stretch, how did it feel to be opening up like that?
It felt great. I wasn't looking back. I know that Yumi and Mikey might be running at me, and there's another horse there, the one horse from Vancouver. So I wasn't looking back. It was just finish the rider out, and then we got there first.
That is winning jockey Alex Ferris heading back to the jockstrom. He's got 2 more to go this afternoon, and we'll be back with Dr. Brenda Abbey, the owner, with this horse just after this.
Well, John, of course, doing some celebrating down there, winning the Sonoma Stakes. Dr. Brenda Abbey, Alex Ferris talking about his horse with that perfect trip. And if you get a nice trip, sometimes it's good planning, sometimes it's good luck, and sometimes it's a good trip.
Well, you have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good, and it's true. He really just got a dream run with Crimson Hue sitting behind out of trouble and made the move while everybody else was having to wait for room.
Crimson Hue paying $15.40 to win, $5.50 to place, $3.80 to show. Mighty Dixie going off as the favorite, $3.30 to place, $2.40 to show. Yumi and Mikey just getting into the show position at $3.20. The Quinella is $15.70, $116.20. A very slight triactor, which I did not get. But then again, none of us were winners this afternoon in our charity picks. Jonathan Huntington is standing by with a happy owner, Dr. Brenda Abbey. Crimson Hue coming away with the win in the Sonoma. John?
Thanks a lot, Roger. Brenda's got this beautiful trophy with her. She's probably not going to let it go for a while, I don't think. Brenda, let's start with something before the race. Coming in, sitting in the grandstand, what did you think? How'd you rate your chances?
Well, I was confident with this filly. She's all business, and of course her last race she won by 8 lengths. We had her run a mile here 2 weeks ago, and she had a good trip, and we were just hoping for a really good trip to keeping her out of trouble. But I was nervous. I'm nervous every time any one of my horses run. You've got butterflies, and you just hope for them to come back safely, and she did. So
Now, what was it like to look at your horse as they came around the far turn? You were striding beautifully. Talk about what it was like.
Well, I was on the rail. I always watch all of my races from the rail and cheer them on, and I knew that as soon as we were coming around the final turn and she was making a move, and I was just screaming at the rail and just calling out her name, "Come on, Crimson," and I couldn't believe it. Then, you know, she just strode out and she won, and it's a dream come true to win a stakes. This is the first stakes that I've ever won, so.
Well, she is so happy. I think Brenda's going to have a smile on her face for the rest of the day. We'll send it back to you guys.
Alex Ferris was aboard last year, a horse that went on to win the Canadian Derby. What's going to be the future for Crimson Hue after winning the Sonoma Stakes with Alex Ferris? I guess time will tell, and that's horse racing. Isn't that the fun of it? Coming up, Sports Central with Lance Brown. He'll wrap up the day in sports here on CTV Sportsnet later today here on CTV Sportsnet.